Welcome to the Pool Nation podcast, where it's all pool talk. And we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. We talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. Now let's welcome your host, with over a decade of industry insider experience and still the reigning champion of Marco Polo, Edgar De Jesus, and his co-host, John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West, and Zach the Pool Boy Nicholas.
Welcome, everyone, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. I'm your host, Edgar De Jesus, and yes, I am the reigning champion of Marco Polo, along with John JJ Flawless, the fastest netter in the West. And yes, he is back in the house, Mr. Zacharias, the Pool Boy Nicholas. Today, we're diving into part 2 of our Roadmap to Profitability series, the profit killers, the profit mindset traps, and the math that proves why this matters. Before we do that, I want to welcome everyone to our live podcast, a podcast where it's all pool talk, and we ain't talking about netting and jetting or splashing and dashing. We're talking about becoming a nation of pool pros. And yes, we will talk about the latest products, trends, and training in the pool industry. But before we get started, I want to thank our visionary partners for this podcast, the SPPA, Blu-ray XL, Aquastar Pool Products, Natural Chemistry, Raypack, Heritage Pool Supply, Hayward Pool Products, Poolside Tech, Pool Brain, and Knee Deck. We want to thank them for their continued support. Mr. Zacharias, what's going on, brother? Welcome back.
Thank you. That was a quick trip. It went by really fast, but I'm happy to be back. And we talk about taking breaks and how important it is so that you avoid burnout. And I don't know what it is, but like I literally came back and immediately, once I got back to work, my mind's been going, getting a lot of things done, and I'm feeling very refreshed and ready to kick ass. So it was a good time.
Mr. Flawless, what's going on, brother?
I'm just laughing. We talk about that, and I'm glad that you got to go on vacation, Zach. And you're right, you know.
John was saying my vacation is just that Zach is gone. I got a vacation from him for 2 weeks.
What I'm laughing at right now is Zach is talking about being all refreshed and it's time to, vacation and coming back feeling good. And you look at him and then you look at me and you look at Edgar and we look worn out. Literally, we just got out the ringer. You know what I mean? And it's like night and day, the difference between. And yes, I think we're due for a vacation as well because we are not refreshed right now. And I'm definitely not. Today was
Yeah, but today was a long day. And then how freaking hot was it? Like 163?
Yeah, it felt like it. And a couple curveballs today, pump install, and it was like an emergency that had to happen. And
were you wearing a hat?
Sucked. You know what was funny? Halfway through it, I went back to the truck and I got a hat and I put on my bucket hat.
I bet you that sun just beating down on you, putting that pump in, and it like throbs.
You have no idea. You have no idea. Today, I was actually questioning myself, and I'm like, we talk about how do you do it? I was like, how did I do this last year? You know what I mean? How did I get through this? Yeah, today was brutal, but we were talking offline, Edgar, during the summertime when it's like August is the worst of the worst, and 120-degree temps pretty much throughout the whole month. But, over the years, we've learned to wear non-essential, or we're not doing tile blasts, we're not doing big equipment upgrades, stuff that can be put off towards fall. We usually do that, and when fall comes around, we're like, as far as like repairs and installs, it's off the chart. But when you've been doing it for a while and you have enough accounts, in a perfect world, there's things, it's not a perfect world and things happen. We've had to do filter swap outs, we've had to do tons of pumps. We've had to replace an automation because it fried, heater work. And I'm like, why on earth are you using your heater right now? But they are, and Airbnbs, and I'm looking at my phone, right, and some messages, and they're like, are you kidding me? Really? This day we get a call from a property manager and saying that the guests were complaining that they went to use the jacuzzi or the spa, and this is in the middle of the afternoon. This was like 4:00 in the afternoon when it was, and I think the temperature that day was only like 118 only, but they were saying that the heater wasn't working, and I'm like, what? Are you kidding me? Who the hell is using the spa right now? But we said, okay. And we went down there and we took care of it and we got it up and going. But it's those little things during the day that kind of throw you off a little bit. When you're kind of in your groove, you get out early in the morning, you try to bust through all your pools and get them done. And then when you get curveballs and you have to go out and do these repairs or installs or whatever.
And then Thursdays
really
are always
you.
busy days.
Oh yeah. Thursdays.
Yeah. I don't think I've ever talked to a pool guy that does, I take it easy on Thursdays. It's the other way around. Like everybody packs them in,
I will say your tan is on point. You're like 2 shades darker than when I
Dude,
saw
you're
you
red.
last.
He's red.
Bro, I'm not tan. I'm like burnt,
red.
dude. I'm like, there's
like a tomato.
Yeah, thanks. Perfect. Look, today, and for some reason, the padding, I usually have a pad when I get down and do my installs, right? Or when I'm plumbing this pump in. And we were putting in a Whisper Flow VST and the foam packaging that comes with it, the really dense foam packaging that they put around their pumps. I was like, oh man, this isn't working. So I had to grab that and I was like patting myself down. The ground was so hot. It was like unbelievable. Dude, I looked like it was probably the most pathetic install scene today. Me going, I was like, oh my God, dude, I was like literally dying. It took me an hour to put this pump in. Of course, I'd have mama's help when usually I can knock out like 35 minutes, but that's how far I was dragging today. But
was it an even swap?
Yes, it was an even swap.
And it took you an hour?
It took me an hour. And that's what I'm saying. About 35 minutes is what it takes from start to finish. Right. Pull it all out, get the unions, whatever. It was do the electrical, do the new comm cord, clean up, do what we need to do, get it started, get it programmed, all that. Usually that's where it's at. It took me about an hour to do it. So I'm off my game.
Yeah, off your game. So anyways, guys, let's get started into this bit, boy. Before we do that, I want to talk about a couple things that are going on. We are headed to Las Vegas this year for the PSP Expo, and Mr. John JJ Flawless has been on a couple calls managing that $10,000 Pool Pro Challenge that we have coming up. It's going to be October 22nd at the PSP Expo in Las Vegas. From there, the October 23rd, we go down into the Pool Nation Awards. Nominations are done. They're all in the envelopes. They're all sealed. And they are ready for next week, people. So got some amazing nominations that are coming up. Man, John and I, 2.5 hours, John, was that phone call?
Yeah, it was quite the list.
It was quite the list. So trust me, people, you guys are going to enjoy it. It's going to be a great event. We are going to have the house after party. We are headed back to Alley Lounge 66 on the 66th floor, the Conrad Hotel, overlooking Las Vegas, baby. You can even see the Sphere from up there. It's going to be gorgeous. So we're excited to do that. And then October 24th and 25th, we are going to be doing the Pool Nation Conference. We're going to be doing a lot of hands-on the first day, some business, some technical. For the members of the Matrix, you are going to have your own classes that you're going to be doing out there as well. We are going to really kind of be focusing, obviously, on the business side. So we'll talk really quick about some of those classes. First one that we're going to be doing on that business track is really turning pools into profit and how to build a business, not just a route from day one. How do you focus on the profit side of the business? And if you get that from the beginning, which is very easy to do, trust me, it'll skyrocket. So we're going to sit down and break that down for you.
Yeah, and then we're going to roll into turn metrics into money and what your financials are telling you. Basically, it's going to teach you to just stop guessing and start leading with data. Perfect example, pre-podcast, we were going over some top secret information, you know what I mean? But has to do a lot with what we're talking about here. And we had a conversation about this, and it's like the blind lead in the blind. If you're not,
he was like,
if you guys don't understand your numbers and don't have the correct data, it's going to be really hard to make some significant impacts or moves or changes in your business. So turn metrics into money, what your financials aren't telling you.
And then we're going to go into know your costs, grow your profits, business math made simple for pool pros. And this is going to walk you through some of those exact formulas and methods to make sure that you're pricing your services right so that you can really focus on protecting your bottom line.
And then from there, we roll right into financial planning and exit strategy. We talk about it all the time, right? You can't do this forever, but how are you setting yourself up from now to that point? And then more importantly, how are you setting up your business to make sure that when you go to sell that, you can get a lot more for your business?
And then we're going to end day one with profit is not cash, mastering cash flow to stay in control all year, because profit on paper doesn't always pay the bills. cash does. Learn how to avoid cash crunches and build financial stability.
After that, we move into day 2, and we're going to start out with the talent life cycle, building skills for business success. And this is just going to really help you learn how to unlock the full potential of your team by mastering that talent life cycle. You're going to learn how to build skills at every stage to drive their performance, foster their growth, and create a thriving people-powered organization, because as we know, it's all about the people.
And from there, we go into developing high performing teams, right? Success starts with your people. And so obviously you've got to know the strategies to build, lead, and inspire those high performing teams. So it's really going to teach you a lot of how to foster trust, align goals, and really focus on that collaboration.
And then following that, we're jumping into the power of partnership, cultivating true collaboration in your team, teaching you that collaboration just isn't about working together. It's about working smarter together. This course, we're going to teach you how to break down silos, enhance communication, and build a culture where ideas flow freely and teams unite to solve problems.
After that, we're going to dive into time management strategies. And this is going to help you take control of your day and really maximize your productivity. It's going to introduce practical time management techniques to help prioritize those tasks, minimize distractions, and make every minute count.
And then the last thing that we're going to talk about is driving results through accountability. You could do all the things that you want to do, but if you don't hold yourself accountable, if you don't hold your team accountable, there's really no purpose to all of it, right? So that's why we're driving that home all the way at the last class, to be able to focus on driving results through accountability for you and your team. So anyways, if you want to go, you can register. Go to poolnation.com. You can go to poolspapatio.com and register through there. You'll be able to see the tracks under Pool Nation. The tickets to the Pool Nation Awards are there. The tickets to the after party are there as well. Go through. Listen, if you do not want to go take any of the classes, if you're not going to the Pool Nation Awards and you just want to go walk the floor, I'm going to give you $60 off, and it's easy. All you have to do is, if you want to go to the expo floor, it's going to cost $60. But if you use the code Pool Nation, all caps, and that'll give you a free expo pass. So there's the little secret. If you want to get into the show floor to just watch that and you don't want to pay, use the code Pool Nation and you'll be able to get a pass for free. If you register for the boot camp, if you register for anything else that has to do with Pool Nation, it'll automatically load that for you in there. So you don't have to worry about it. You'll see that it'll change the price for you and it'll be free. All right, guys, before we jump into part number 2, I want to talk really quick, just a little bit of a recap of part number 1 that we did. And part number 1, we talked about obviously the traditional pool pro roadmap, right? We see a lot of the pool pros, they start with the service side, they start with the chemistry, they move into the repairs, and it's really years later that they start to talk about the profitability and trying to figure out their numbers and stuff like that. So we kind of explained why that's backwards and why you need to flip that from day one. So we broke down why profits is not a bonus, right? It's the fuel to growth, stability, and more importantly, to avoid the burnout, right? Because if you're making money, there's a good chance you're not going to be burnt out, right? If you hit that burnout when you feel that you're working harder and you're not making tenfold of that money. So anyways, we talked about why it's so important to really know your numbers. You have to know your cost per pool. We just spent, before we jumped on the podcast, debating back and forth, going through calculations, right? Gross profit, net profit, going back and forth. You have to know all those numbers for your business. And I know at the beginning it's stressful. You freak out. Oh my God. And it's the easiest thing. It's just like anything else, right? It's just, I always compare it to water chemistry. At the beginning, it's so difficult to understand chlorine, pH, alkalinity, calcium hardness, and CYA. And then next thing you know, you're talking about it with your eyes closed, just like John is right now with his eyes closed. John is going to be a struggle today. He looks so tired, bro.
I'm sorry. I'm awake. I promise. I'm not falling asleep.
I don't think I've ever seen you with your eyes that close. You're holding on for dear life.
I need toothpicks.
I would say Tom and Jerry, but Zach would go, what is that? So anyways, today we're picking up where we left off. Let's talk about those profit killers. Let's talk about that pricing mindset trap and the math that proves why it's matter. So let's start with the big one. And this is one of those that I think a lot of people don't do till later on down the road. And that is paying yourself, right? I think a lot of people pay themselves last. And I see this constantly. They work their tails off. And at the end of the month, they just go, okay, whatever's left over, that's for me. So, John, Zach, let me get your thoughts on that one.
I'm glad we kind of started with this one. I think it's
Look,
probably
he woke up. He woke up. He likes to talk about
There's
this.
his
Let's
eyes.
go. There's his eyes. He went profit. What money? Yeah,
No,
let's go.
You know what's funny? This topic and this exact thing right here that we're going to get into is probably the most frustrating thing that I've encountered over the years, helping, trying to coach people, trying to do whatever I could to, or whatever I can to help others see the light, because you always hear this, the pool pro or the pool guy, that the $75 pool guy or the $100 pool guy or the $150 pool guy or whatever you want to call it. It's a problem in our industry, but how do I put it? I don't think it's intentional. I think it's just ignorance, right? They just don't understand, and they don't realize it until it's either too late and it overcomes them and they go out of business and they just quit and get out of the industry, or they have a hardcore reality check where they need to completely upend their business and start fresh or do things differently. But where I'm getting at is, as a single poler, most of the guys and gals out there, when they're servicing or when they're pricing out products or installs or their time or their service, they don't take into effect the cost that it would cost a company to pay somebody to do that job. And we forget, because we're business owners or we're the owner, right, that we don't need a paycheck. So we look at things, and I'm throwing hypothetical numbers out here, and we look at things and go, oh, if I go out there and I charge $100 a month, you know what I mean? It's $25. I make $25 profit, or I spend $5 in chems, I make $20. When in reality, that's not a winning business structure, because what happens when you go to expand, right? Or what happens when you bring on an employee and you go to price that pool or pay an employee? How are you going to pay an employee a proper wage to be able to service that pool and to be able to make the necessary profit so that you can pay your business, to pay the bills that your business requires, and then to be able to profit as an individual and to pay your personal bills, and then on top of that to put money aside and save? So we have this perception, or we think that just because we're smaller or we don't have employees, that we don't need to price, or we're pricing too high. And that becomes an issue amongst other companies or other people in the market. And it's stuff that we've had to battle and deal with, especially out here, is how do you compete sometimes? And I get people go, John, how do I compete when, you know, a pump costs me X amount of money and we go out there, then I got to pay for insurance, I got to pay for license, I got to pay for uniforms, gas, workers' compensation, right? Taxes, all these things that are happening. And then I got this product, and then now I got to sell it and do that. And then I got Joe Blow or whoever it may be goes and gets this pump for X amount and thinks that he marks it up $200, that he's making $200 profit, when it just doesn't work that way. Our goal is to hopefully get people to understand before you get to that point, because I promise you, if you aren't factoring these costs, or if you aren't paying yourself or figuring out what profit margins or profit that you need to have as a business in order to survive, right? And then how much money you need to have on top of that so that you can put money aside and invest. If you don't have a clue, then I guarantee you, you're not pricing your products correctly or competitively to market value. And at some point, you're going to get to the point that Edgar was talking about before, is you're out there working and you're busting your hump, and the money that you're making isn't just enough. But if we're out there, and like today, I'm talking about, yeah, we made good money doing our install and our pump. But I promise you, if someone told me that I was bringing home $1 million on that pump, I would have probably been tap dancing and probably washed windows, and I would have done everything I possibly could. I would have had a completely different, you know what I mean, perception on it, right? Because wow, look what I'm getting. And you need to get to a point where you need to price yourself or price your products and your services to a point to where when you walk into that backyard, you want to go back there and you feel good about the work that you do. And of course, you have to be able to deliver on expectations and value. But this isn't a hobby, right? It's a business. And if you don't run it accordingly, it's going to run you, and you're going to be in for some rude awakening. A very touchy subject for me.
Yeah. And I agree. You talked about Joe Blow, and that was me and Justin in the beginning doing exactly that, because we didn't have an understanding of this. And it was okay, we're going to make $200 on that. And then great, you made 100, I made 100, let's roll on. And it's a very slippery slope to fall into. And I think what happens is when a lot of people start out, and this was the case for us, it's like there's this urgency that like we need to pick up accounts, we need to get going. And then when you look at it that way, where you're not factoring in what the cost would be to have a person work for you and pay them to deliver that service, you look at it and you go, well, I can price my rate lower than everyone else. Like we could be cheaper and we can be better. And then you start doing that. And then you end up in this situation where it's like, you get in the mindset of, okay, like I'm not really making money. So what do I need to do? I need to work more. I need to sell more. I need to do more. If you do more, then you'll magically end up eventually in this position to where you're able to pay yourself the money you want to make. And volume definitely plays a role in it, but you have to start paying yourself from the beginning and accounting for that in your costs and pricing, because we don't have infinite time. And eventually you'll end up in the situation that many of us have ended up in, where you're working 7 days a week from sun up to sundown, and costs are in a sense relative to the money you're making. So if you're not profitable and making enough money to pay for that employee, you're just furthering that problem, and you'll be facing the same thing month after month. And another thing is that we talk about all the time is that this is a cash flow business. And so a lot of times we don't catch that problem for quite a while, because the money rolling in kind of allows us to keep going. But eventually you'll start to feel it. Eventually you'll start to burn out. And then you'll be looking at that point where you have no more time and you got to do something about it.
It's that thought process, right? And I think as business owners, we fall into that little bit of the false sense, right? So we just think that if we work harder, we could just make a lot more money, right? But your business is already running, it's already making a certain amount of money. And you just think, man, if I just work harder, I can make more money. And it's exactly like you're saying, Zach, you get into that 7 days a week. And look, I get it at the beginning when you own your business on your own. Like we've all done it, right? Like John tells the story, right, of him going to that first pool and spending almost all day, right? But if you were to tell John today, would you do that? He'd probably be like, "You're freaking nuts, right? You're freaking crazy. Like I'd never do that." But we're proud of our businesses at the beginning, and we don't care if we have to work 20 hours a day and you work 7 days a week. But at the end of the day, man, it eventually all comes back to that number, right? If you're making a lot of money, hey, you'll be happy doing what you're doing, right? For the most part. But man, if you're working 7 days a week and taking phone calls all the time and all that, it eventually just starts to get into that burnout. And it's one of the biggest mistakes is that people treat that as the way it should be in their business, that what's left over should be what they get. And it's like, no. You need to know how much money you need to survive off of, to pay your bills, to live a good life, to do that. And that has to be accounted for as an expense, not what's left at the end of the day. What's left at the end of the day is for your business to be able to grow. But you have got to calculate, you have got to cake in that cost from the beginning and say, no, this business needs to give me whatever it is, $1,000 a week, $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, whatever that is. So for you pool pros that are out there, we really encourage you to take a step back and look at that and go, I need to be able to make sure that I take that money. And I'm not going to tell you how to take it, right? Because everybody's like, oh, well, if I take it as a salary, then it's this, or do I take it as an owner's draw? Like that part you got to figure out on your own, right? So if you're going to pay W-2 on yourself and do that, great. That's the way that you do it. Perfect, right? Or if you're going to do draws, however you're going to do it. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. What you have to know is how much money of that are you going to take personally.
Yeah, because if you don't know that, and if you don't have it, then how are you going to price accordingly?
Yeah.
You're literally going into it blindfolded, and it's just like, let's just throw whatever we got on the wall and see what sticks. And I tell this story every single time when we go out and we do new home quotes and we evaluate homes and we go out there and we price for service. We have a minimum. Minimum means minimum. You don't go below it. I don't care if you have the 5,000 gallon spool or 3,000 gallon spool or a hot tub, or, and it's as close as possible to the next, I always hear this, well, it's right next door. I don't care. I don't care. I might not have that account a week from now or a month from now, right? That doesn't go into the equation. Oh, okay, well, let me give you a neighborly. No, this is the minimum. The reason why we have that minimum is because I know that if we get to that, if we make that dollar amount, we are going to create enough profit to be able to pay our bills, to pay our company bills, to be able to pay our personal bills, right? To be able to put money aside. And your company needs to be able to have some reserve capital as well, because things happen, things change. Sometimes you need an inflow of capital or expenses that pop up that you don't plan for, and you need to have that so that you don't have to draw into your own personal funds to be able to fund those things. If you're not building salary into pricing, you're setting yourself up 100% to fail. We talk about the low-hanging fruit, like the little things, baby steps here, when we go like, okay, you got to take into consideration rent. You got to take into consideration insurance, chemicals. Those are the things that I think for people that don't do this at all, that's like your first step. We're on another level now where we're thinking of, hey, look, when we get to the point where we need healthcare, and like when we're going to start paying healthcare and 401k and matching, and to be able to do those types of things and to be able to offer those types of programs for employees so that we can build a company that people are going to want to come to, we need to start factoring those things in now, because you better believe it. The other companies that are larger that you're competing against, doesn't, just because a company's bigger than you doesn't mean they're better than you. And just because they're bigger and they have more overhead doesn't mean that you should sacrifice your profits because you don't have as much overhead as them. It doesn't work that way. I can't tell you how many times over the years I've had conversations with customers and I said, look, if I sell you something, and we took at the time, we used Leslie's as a good comparison, right? Because most of the prices that they offered and that they had retail wise was pretty on point. You know, it was a brick and mortar, not online. It gives you a good guideline of where you can be at within range, and you're not too under, you're charging too little, you're charging too much, or whatever it may be. And we look at it and go, look, if you find something, a customer, you sell something to a customer and they question the price on it and it's within the range of Leslie's or whatever it may be, and I'll just throw numbers out here for a pump or for some filters, whatever. If as a small business owner, if the number one pool supply store or the biggest pool supply store in the company is selling, and which has way bigger buying power than I do, is selling that product at this price, why on earth would I sell it lower than them? Or why would you expect me to be able to get it for cheaper than they get it? So for me to be at or a little bit above it, I think is on point, because what you get from there on top of the correct price, right? You get quality of service and the benefit of working with an owner operator or somebody who's going to take more time and attention, is going to be able to give you more benefits or add more value to a corporate machine that just throws anybody out there. And I'm not saying that's what they do, but there are companies out there that there's the difference between the small business and a bigger corporation. There's things that we have advantages that we can do and use to our advantage so that we can add value to our services, so that we can charge a little bit more and maybe charge a little bit more of a premium. These are the things that we have to take in. I think it all comes down to confidence. And we've talked about this 1,000 times too. Once you understand that and where you need to be, at the end of the day, it's a no-brainer. And I don't think the guilt is like a bag of bricks, right? You just have to let it go. And I think it's the same way. We feel like when we go back there, especially when we're new, like, oh, should I charge that? Or is that going to be too much? Or we're shopping with our wallet or whatever it may be. If you're running a business and this is what you need to have and you know what it is, and you find yourself a lot more willing to toe the line and not succumb to some of the bad practices that we did maybe when we first started.
Yeah, I want to add to that a little bit. And I think something you said is really important. And that's that if you don't know what you need to make as an individual, or even what your company needs to make, how can you determine price? And going back to what I was saying earlier, I think a lot of people get in this habit of they shop their competitors and look at what they're charging. But goes into the whole thing that we talk about. You got to know your numbers. You got to know your numbers so that you can then determine price, because you don't know what the situation is of this company and what their operating expenses are, what they have. And you were talking about benefits, 401k. Like, I go on about vision and having an understanding of your vision and thinking about the future. And if you think about these things and you start to plan for it, you could factor for those things, because eventually you're going to have to add them in. And if you start from the beginning or early on planning here's the expectation of what it's going to cost to run this company, here's where my price needs to be, then you can be 10 steps ahead in growing your company by putting those things into play.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, hey, let's take a word from our sponsors. Maybe that's why I need to take a break. And we'll be right back.
Hey, you pool pros. This is the year you change your pool business forever. Join us for a fully immersive conference that not only teaches you water chemistry and the hands-on day-to-day of a highly successful pool business, but how to make the most of your business and make money. Pricing, profit, cash flow, leadership. It's happening October 24th and 25th at the PSP Expo in Las Vegas. We've designed a powerful 2-day business track to help you build a smarter, more profitable company. Day 1, financials. Learn how to shift from technician to owner. Day 2, get expert knowledge about people and performance. From hiring and training to time management and accountability, we'll help you lead a team that drives results. Build a business you love.
Hey guys, let's be clear. These aren't just lectures. We're not here to hit you with a bunch of theory and then send you on your way home. We're diving into what your numbers are actually telling you about your business and how to build a team that takes the stress off your plate and makes your business more profitable. Visit poolspotpatio.com or poolnation.com.
That's poolnation.com. We'll see you in Las Vegas. Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com. U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool. Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness. As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading, vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live podcast. We continue our conversation on part 2 of the profit approach. So obviously, we've talked about not paying yourself, and that was a big one, right? And we spent a good time talking about that. For all the pool pros out there, you've got to figure out what your pay is, and how you take that is up to you, whether it's a W-2 and you do it, or it's an owner's draw, whatever it is, but you've got to figure out what that pay needs to be. And that business needs to give you that money as an expense so that you can know exactly what it is that you need to charge. I think the next one that we're going to talk about, and you guys are going to agree with me, and I think we hear it a lot when we do shows and we have a booth, we get a lot of people that come by, and I get it all the time. Like, if there was one piece of advice that you would give me starting in the pool industry, what would it be? And to me, it's always, you have to charge like you have an employee. Because what I see most of the time, guys, and tell me if I'm wrong, most of the time we see that journey of the pool pro. They start as a one poler, they start doing pools on their own. They're happy with what they make and they're making money and it's just them. But eventually they get to that balancing act where they're doing 80, 90 pools, they're doing repairs, they're doing the billing, they're doing all that. The burnout starts to creep in. And then at that stage, they go, oh, I want to hire somebody. But their rates are really not meant to be able to pay an employee. Their rates are only to be able to sustain them as a one poler. And so my thing to everybody is always two things. One, hire like you're going to pay somebody to do that job. And two things is going to happen. One, if you don't hire another person to do the job, then your profit is going to be even higher, right? Because you're not spending that money. But when you get to that balancing act and you get ready to scale, you're going to have that money in there. You're going to be able to afford to pay somebody else. And things aren't going to get tight on you where you can fall into that burnout very quickly.
Yeah. Look, every pool pro, 99%, the biggest decision that a small business owner has, and this applies to all industries, is when you get to that point, when you hit maximum capacity where you can't do any more yourself and you need to bring somebody on. And it's so painful. That jump is like the biggest jump. Your first employee is the biggest jump you can make as a small business owner. And usually the reason why it's so difficult to do is because you're not priced properly and you can't afford it. So you're struggling and running how you're going to be able to cut expenses or sacrifice here and there, or what you need to do in order to be able to pay somebody, because you physically can't do it anymore. And the problem is because we never set ourselves up so that we were prepared for that situation, because we never priced accordingly. It's just time after time. And no matter how much we preach it and how much we talk about it, I don't know. It's like people like, don't touch the flame, you're going to get burned. Don't touch the flame, you're going to get burned. Boop. You know what I mean? They get burned, right? And then they learn and go, I've had an aha moment. And maybe it's, as entrepreneurs, we're built that way and we need to run our heads into the wall and take unnecessary punishment, and stress and more gray hairs, and in order to get it through our heads and to get to the point and go, okay, now I need to buckle down and figure things out, because something has to give here. I'm at that breaking point, right? Where I'm either going to burn out and just not show up one day and let it all burn down. You know what I mean? Say, forget it. I'm off.
We've seen it happen.
It happens. And just go, look how many companies quit all the time. I can't, dude.
I remember being out there just like, what happened to this guy? Is he just left all his pools? Just left. And like, why would you just leave a business that is running and doing really well, that you're making a lot of money, you're enjoying it, unless there's some drastic thing that happened, which might fall for a few percentage of the people that close up shop and call it quits because they have certain circumstances that happen. But the majority of the reason why is because it's not worth it. And they're off to the next venture, or they're starting over again, or they're saying to hell with the pool industry. But we all know, those of us that have been in it and who have survived, right, and have gotten through those trials and tribulations, that
This is a very lucrative business and you make what you want out of it. And you hear many people preach this. The beauty of our industry is you could be as small as you want, right? Or as big as you want, and you're still able to live is a whatever life you want to live. Being a pool pro or owning a pool service company or maintenance company isn't a shameful patch to have on you and say, oh, no, you can live mighty, mighty well and do very good for yourself and for your family if you approach it correctly and you go about it the right way. This is the fork in the road for most businesses. It's that first hire of that employee. And I would even take it a little bit further when it comes down to pricing. Sometimes we look at, okay, what do I want to price? What can I afford to price somebody at? Be honest and look, where would I love to be able to pay my employee? Because if you're paying your employees, so here's going a little bit deeper, right? And jump in, guys, if I'm getting too deep into the woods here. Whatever the cost is or whatever you think the going rate is, don't price your pools at what you think you want to pay your employee at that bare minimum. You need to look at it and go, hey, look, I want to create a career path for my employees, right? I don't want turnover. You start to learn the next painful thorn in your side once you start hiring employees is the hidden cost of turnover, right? That we don't necessarily see and isn't really on a balance sheet or on a P&L, where you really don't understand the time and the effort and the ramifications of bringing on somebody new and for them to only be there for a month or 2 or 3 months. But it will happen.
It's so common, John.
It will happen.
Yeah.
And a lot of the reason why is because it's not worth the money for them. If they were getting paid really well and comfortably, I'm sure they would stick through it, or your turnover rate would be a little bit lower because money does play a big factor in it, albeit not all of it, right? There's a lot more that goes into it. Type of environment, work conditions, relationships with you, how they've been trained, their personal life, whatever it may be, but money talks.
Oh, yeah.
So when you price these, you need to price it accordingly and do it that way. I mean, here's an example, and I give to people. I used to say the steak thing, you can go many different places to buy steak. I like using burgers now, and it's a lot.
He's dropping from steaks to burgers. We're in trouble.
It's bad,
We're
right?
in trouble.
Well, I'm just giving a little something different. But look, you go out there and you got a company like McDonald's, and God, they're not cheap anymore, right? You know what I mean? A friggin' Big Mac is still, $8? It's like ridiculous. But anyways, you go there and you get that, but then you go over to a mom and pop shop or you go to a family restaurant and you go buy a burger, right? You're not going to pay $8. You're going to probably pay $15, at least out here in California. That's what the cost is. But you're okay with that, right? Because you understand that if I going to a store like that or going to a more boutique or family run business, you're going to get higher quality, you're going to get better service, you're going to get a better meal out of it. So they embrace it and they understand it. And people aren't there complaining, why is your burger $15 when I can go to McDonald's and get a Big Mac for $7 or $8? No. And because they know that's what they need in order to survive, because how can they compete? So as pool owners or as business owners, we need to embrace that too and use that for our advantage when it comes down to the services that we offer. And then be proud when it comes down to differentiate yourself from the competition and saying, hey, look, this is the value that we have to give you and what we can offer you that some companies might not be able to do. And thus, this is why we charge what we charge. But yeah, this is, again, Edgar, Zach, how many times we've all personally gone through it and we all are personally going through it, right? No matter how much we know about this or how much we preach about this, when it comes down to turnover and employees and stuff like that, we live it and we do it. We're a little bit more wise in our years and we understand it. And the goal is never, I guess the goal is to eliminate it, but that's not possible. But the goal is to minimize as much of it, right? This is a big one, that fork in the road, the biggest decision that any sole proprietor or small business owner has to make.
I love what you're saying about thinking about the career path and the wage growth of a person and trying to factor some of that in, because that day hopefully will come to where they've been with you long enough and you're able to start bringing them up and you're building in that room for their growth. And then you have crazy things like we went through with the Great Resignation and COVID and all these things where it's like we couldn't keep up with wage adjustments, and if we had something built into that, that would have helped tremendously. I want to touch on, like you were talking about, that point that people hit where they finally realize the balancing act, and they're at that point of, okay, I need to hire someone. I'm out of time. I'm out of energy. I have no more to give. And then they realize, wait, like I can't afford to do it. And the initial problem is generally the rate because they weren't factoring for themselves. But that's generally the last thing that someone looks at to correct in that situation. Like you said, they target expenses. And generally, when you're smaller, yes, you have a lot of expenses, but you don't have a ton of different expenses to try to trim from besides trying to negotiate products or whatever. I mean, when you're larger, you have a whole big basket of expenses to pull from or try to trim. But when you're at that point, you don't generally have those opportunities. And so then when you come to the realization that, like, okay, the only way I'm going to be able to do this is to look at adjusting my rate, that's a scary moment for a lot of people. And that's something that a lot of people struggle with doing because you have that fear of, I'm going to lose all my customers, they're going to quit, they're going to be angry or whatever. And so if you can prepare for that and plan in advance to avoid that, it will save a ton of stress and headaches and that feeling of, I mean, a lot of times for me, even currently with everything going on, we're looking at it and I've pushed off and pushed off just because I don't want to ruffle feathers or anything. And now it's no, there's no option. This is what we need as a company. This is where we have to be. So we need to do this. Again, like if you can prepare for this and plan for this, you can avoid that. And it is harder because your customers have been trained to those rates and that's what they expect. And in a lot of cases, it's a more significant jump at that time.
I want to tag in and say one more thing, Edgar. Sorry. But you've already built all this, right? Now you have to go back and restart. I preach this, the hardest part about learning is unlearning. And instead of building a solid foundation and growing from there, right now you have to go back and rework things and then rebuild things. And then you will get fallout. You will lose clients, you will go through some unnecessary drama and headaches. You might get a bad review or whatever because you piss somebody off because you had to do what you had to do, and you have these unintended consequences that take place simply because we didn't prepare and do it correctly at the beginning. And now we have to go back and make this correction. We have to make the decision, go, hey, look, something has to give because you said what are you going to do? Okay, now I'm going to go move. I'm going to sell my house and go live in a studio or an apartment now just so I can make an extra whatever per month so that I can afford to do it. No. Or the next thinking is I just got to get more accounts. You know what I mean? And you got to get more accounts, but it's not like a switch where you can get 50 accounts.
There's only so much you could do.
Yeah.
You further the problem in a lot of cases.
You do further the problem. And then you're already at your limit, that burnout level where you don't have any more time. You don't have any more energy. You can't do. And then now you have to go out and collect all these extra accounts and do them so that you'll be able to supply your employee with pools without it destroying your profits. It's a vicious cycle. And again, this is the biggest pain point for any small business owner when they reach that fork in the road. Sorry about that, Edgar.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You have to figure that out all the way from the beginning. So it's crucial that you do that.
Everybody that's listening, we know it's easier said than done. Okay. And don't think for 1 second that any one of us here didn't make mistakes on the way up, right? No. This is speaking from battle wounds and scars, right? And been there, done that, learned it, understand it. And I'm trying to spare you from the headache. And this isn't just all talk. This is literally at some point, no matter where you're at the beginning of your journey, you're going to come to a point where you're going to have to make that decision. And you're going to either stay where you're at and be comfortable being a single poler, and that's fine, or you're going to have to scale up. And the majority of you are going to be going through these troubles. So if you can spare yourself from any of these roadblocks, please heed the warning and start digging into how much money you need to make in order so that you can sustain where you want to be 3-5 years from now. Not where you are here, but where you want to be 3 to 5 years from now. I just can't stress enough how important that is.
Absolutely. Gentlemen, let's do this. Let's take a word from our sponsors. When we come back, want to get your final thoughts.
Say goodbye to slideshows and lectures and hello to hands-on learning at this year's Pool Nation Conference. Real tools,
real techniques, real experience.
Join us October 24th and 25th at the PSP Expo in Las Vegas, baby. For 2 days of interactive sessions for real-world application. From equipment demos to workflow walkthroughs, we'll go beyond the basics so you can see it, touch it, do it. Master best practices with live demonstrations and practice using the tools and tech that power today's pool industry. Whether you're new to the trade or leveling up your skills, this is your chance to learn by doing, not just listening. Become an expert in business too, from technician to owner. This is the year you create a business you love in the pool industry.
Hey guys, these aren't lectures. They're real tools that you can take home and start using right away. From what your metrics are really telling you about your business to building a team that makes your life easier and your business more profitable. Register now for the Pool Nation Conference at the PSP Expo in Las Vegas. Visit poolspapatio.com or poolnation.com.
Head to poolnation.com to register now. We'll see you in Las Vegas, Pool Pro.
Pool pros have specific needs when it comes to general liability insurance. The SPPA program has you covered. With 3 tailored and customizable general liability options, SPPA makes it easy for pool pros to feel secure. Find out more and get covered at thesppa.com.
U.S. Motors Neptune Variable Speed Motor provides a versatile replacement solution for all your pool pump motor needs. This motor can communicate with pool control systems, provide low voltage options to work with time clocks, and can be installed as a standalone pump motor. The Neptune motor can be easily installed on existing pumps, upgrading them to a variable speed pump without the need for replumbing. Enjoy energy savings and quiet operation by installing a Neptune Variable Speed Motor today. For more information and to find your local distributor, visit usmotors.com/pool.
Blu-ray XL is the power of minerals working for you. Reduce your overall chemical costs and labor up to 50% guaranteed. Whether you have 20 accounts or 20,000, Blu-ray XL's direct pricing and free shipping to the pool trade have you covered. Improving pool professionals' profit and work-life balance is what they do. Blu-ray XL, the real mineral purifier. Visit them at BluRayXL.com.
Blu-ray all day.
Aquastar's new pipeline cartridge filters, available in 2 sizes, deliver top-notch hydraulic efficiency along with best-in-class filtration performance, approaching that of DE filters. Uniquely designed, open pleat spacing means 100% of the media square footage is usable. And these claims are backed by NSF test results. Designed with the pro's time and comfort in mind, the patented double-locking system improves safety and ease of access, making filter cleaners faster than ever before. Available now. Ask your supplier for pipeline filters today.
Natural Chemistry, a leader in specialty water care solutions for over 30 years, is proud to provide products that make pool service easier than ever before. Its unique enzyme formulations in Pro Series Pro Blend improve efficiency of your pool program while reducing frequency of filter cleaning and scum lines. Natural Chemistry is also well known for its wide variety of phosphate removal solutions that include a non-clouding formula in Phos-Free and extremely high-range removal with Pro Series Phos Remove or Phos-Free Max. Save time, save money, save work with Pro Series products. Stop sacrificing durability or efficiency with the help of Raypak's new Avia HD models that utilize NITEC, their exclusive industry-first technology. NITEC heat exchanger technology is Raypak's latest solution to superior strength and maximum efficiency when it comes to residential pool heating. With 900% more nickel compared to copper nickel in critical surfaces, NITEC creates an ideal surface to protect against scale formation and erosion without compromising on Avia's 84% thermal efficiency. Learn more at raypak.com/NITEC. The next evolution in lighting is here. Universal Color Logic 2.0 from Hayward. The latest in pool and spa lighting was designed with you in mind, making installation a breeze. Upgrades include a detachable cord and first-of-a-kind adjustable lower catch to overcome variations in plaster thickness.
As always, Universal Color Logic lights retrofit into virtually any in-ground pool or spa while delivering industry-leading vibrant color. Visit Hayward.com to discover more.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Pool Nation Live Podcast. We are back with the boys and Mr. Zacharias. Let me get some final thoughts.
We covered a lot of different things tonight and going through this, and it just goes back to what we've talked about of our core principle of the financial side and making the financial side of a company healthy, because that's where you can thrive. That's where you can avoid burnout. That's where you can achieve all the things you want. And I think what John was talking about earlier, this industry is beautiful because I'm more on the growth mindset, scaling, and that's where my thoughts live. But this can be a very lucrative, very good job for just a single person if the planning and preparation goes into it. But you can't thrive if you're not accounting for the lifestyle you want to live or the business that you want to grow. I know a lot of people in this industry where it's just them and they have an amazing life and they're able to do all the things they want and all the travels and buy all the toys just by themselves. But that's because of the planning and preparation and understanding of what it costs to run their business, what it takes, and what they need to get out of their business. And then obviously delivering a quality service. That's a big part of this too. But at the end of the day, if you can put the planning and preparation, think about these things and just make sure that you're accounting for yourself so that in your rate, so that when you go to replace yourself, you're able to comfortably do that and you can avoid a lot of the stress and headaches that we talked about tonight.
Mr. Flawless, final thoughts.
Look, I'm going to keep it short and sweet and simple. Everything we talked about today, none of it matters. And we're going to go back to the saying that you've heard us say and Edgar preach a million times over the years. None of this can be accomplished unless you do one thing, and those are your numbers, right? Know your numbers. It is impossible. You're playing Russian roulette. It's the blind leading the blind. I guarantee you are not being as productive or not making as much money as you should be making or could be making if you don't understand all the money that comes in, all the money that goes out, how much money you need in order to survive, and where that happy place is, whatever that figure, whatever that number is. And if you don't know your numbers, how do you set goals? How do you level up? How do you grow? How do you get better at whatever you do if there's no formula or if there's no game plan or if we've talked about business plans and approaching, understanding and setting goals, short-term, long-term, right? SMART goals, all those types of things. None of that, you can't accomplish any of that without understanding the metrics. In the famous words of our friend Edgar, know your numbers, people. That's how you say it. Edgar. Know your numbers, people.
Know your numbers, baby.
That should be your first tattoo in Vegas this year.
Right. Know your numbers. And look, if you need help, because Edgar touched on this at the beginning, sometimes it might be all Greek to you, or it might be just like a foreign language and you don't understand it and it gets frustrated. Reach out. There's tons of classes out there, books. You have us as a resource. There's other organizations that can help you, whatever it may be. But if you're ready to make that jump and that leap, reach out to a brother, to a friend, to whoever, to a partner, somebody who has some experience and understands it, that's willing to help you. And if you don't have anybody else, reach out to us. We'll be more than happy to help guide you or put you in the right position so that you can start putting you and your company on the right path, so that you can avoid that burnout. You can reap the rewards from all the hard work that you put out there, and that we can better the industry together. Yeah, I'm exhausted. I'm sorry if I rambled a lot today.
It's been a long day, my friend. It's been a long day. So, gentlemen, thank you so much. Hey, everybody, hope that you guys have a great weekend. We will catch you guys next week. Catch me and John on the Instagram Live. And boys, we'll catch you on the other side.
Not next week, baby.
Why not next? Oh, next week's is the nomination.
Traveling, baby. We got the women's. We got
the nomination night. So actually, you know what, Zach? I've actually been kicked off of the live next week. So next week we are going to stream live, but it's going to be a women's only event.
Yes.
So you won't be able to see me and John. You'll see the women doing the nominations, but hey, we'll be on the sidelines watching.
Yes.
So hope everybody has a great weekend. We'll catch you guys later. Have a good one.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to the Pool Nation podcast, a member of the Pool Nation family. You can listen to us live every Friday here at 9 a.m. Pacific, 11 a.m. Central, and 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. You can find us at Pool Nation or poolnationpodcast.com, on Facebook, or on Instagram at pool.nation. And to find more info about Pool Invoice, the billing software built specifically for the pool industry, go to poolinvoice.com. Before you go, this is what the pool industry has been waiting for. Poolmanuniversity.com. It's the first platform dedicated to learning the swimming pool service and repair industry. A pool service community where you can connect and find videos on business, service, water chemistry, and repairs. See you there at poolmanuniversity.com.